Hello everybody and welcome back to the Mechanical Channel. Hope you're enjoying the content. If you are, please like and subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you never miss another video. You join me today in the south of London in a rather picturesque garden with a railway in it. Sadly, we can't talk about the railway today because, well, there's leaves on the line. Luckily though, in this building behind me is a 3-manual, 12-rank Wurlitzer organ, originally from the Ritz in Barnsley. The Ritz Cinema in Barnsley was designed for Union Cinemas by the architectural firm Verity and Beverley and opened on March 22, 1937. It had a single screen with a seating capacity of 2007. It was also noted as the 2000th cinema to be equipped with a Western Electric sound system. The Wurlitzer organ of 3-manual 7 ranks was not finished in time for the opening, so a special concert was held by Robinson Cleaver just over a month later on April the 26th. The longest serving resident organist was a chap called Trevor Willetts, who held the position from 1943 until 1962. In October 1937, Associated British Cinemas, or ABC, took over the Union Cinemas chain, but the Ritz Barnsley managed to keep its name until 1961. The organ survived until 1969, when the now named ABC Cinema Barnsley sold the instrument to a private buyer, who stored it inside his private home. The cinema eventually closed on the 16th of March 1974, with a screening of Holiday on the Buses starring Reg Varney. The building has since been demolished. Okay, so joining me now is Richard Cole. Tell us about this instrument. I mean, how on earth did you build all this building, and where did you get it from?
Well, I went to look at a grand player piano in a bungalow in Leigh-on-Sea back in 2002. A friend asked me to go and look at it because he was thinking of buying it. But when I got there, this grand piano in the front room of this bungalow, which was filled with the most unimaginable junk you could imagine. The piano was covered in car batteries and the acid had leaked out and the piano was rotten underneath. So I said to the lady, the widow of the guy who assembled all this stuff, I said, it's rubbish, straight in the rubbish. And she said, oh, while you're here, she said, what do I do with this? And she took me into another room and there was this Wurlitzer console. And I was taken aback. I said, well, is it all here? She said, it's all here somewhere. She said, look, and I looked up at the ceiling and there were all the pedal pipes hanging up in the ceiling with loops of string going round, screw eyes. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I did a deal with this lady. And over the Easter weekend in 2002, we took the organ out and it was all over the place in this bungalow. The pedal diaphones were in the kitchen and all their gardening coats were hanging on all the pipes where they used to go out into the garden. The swell shutters were right up in the attic, the apex of this loft, all slotted in with fluorescent tubes. And you've never seen such a filthy mess in all your life. But we got it all out, apart from one item, the crash cymbal mechanism. We never found that, but fortunately another one turned up a little bit later. So that's the story of how we acquired the organ.
And of course, you had to build this building that it's in, isn't it? So, I mean, that must have taken quite a bit of effort as well.
Well, at that time we were living in a semi in Dulwich in southeast London. No room for the Wurlitzer there, although we did have the aeolian pipe organ there. So we started looking around and we thought, can we find a little nonconformist church or a factory building or something? But everywhere like that in Greater London, which was where we wanted to stay at the time, gets snapped up by developers. So we eventually found this house with a large garden and no immediate neighbours. And this building was put up, the shell of this building, which was a prefabricated building, the sort that people have garages and things made of. So that went up. And I then spent a couple of years lining this building on the inside with heavy concrete blocks to keep the sound in. And I'm no trained bricklayer, but I must say I laid them all pretty smoothly and nicely. And the gap between those and the outer skin is rock wool, which keeps the heat in. And then I plasterboarded it, put the suspended ceiling, and that's as you see it today.
Yeah. So originally this was a 7-rank instrument, wasn't it? Now enlarged to 12, wasn't it?
That's right.
And again, it was on some of the photographs I'm sure the viewers have seen now. It was a single stop bolster, wasn't it? So
single stop rail, and I built and added this second stop sweep. Luckily, I had access to another console, and I was able to match the curve, and I laminated up the plywood to do that. I got the new stop keys I needed from a company in America who have the original engraving machine, so all the engraving matches, and I made sure that all the stops, including the new ones, all occur in the right place so that they're not sort of added on ad hoc here and there, so that it follows as it would have done if it had been built as a 12-rank instrument.
And I say you don't. This is not just for your personal pleasure, is it? You actually hold concerts here, don't you?
We hold concerts in here. We've got 2 coming up next week, and we can't open direct to the public.
No.
If you do that, you've got to have a license, you've got to have panic bolts and all sorts of things. But we follow the rules as best we can. It's accessible. If the electricity fails, then emergency lights come on, all the rest of it. So we invite friends along, and we invite donations to charity, and we can seat about 30 people in here.
Yeah, more than ample in this room.
Absolutely, just right.
And of course, you've had to baffle the sound a little bit, otherwise it would be very loud in here. So how have you actually come across? How have you sort of solved that problem? Because
the original swell shutters were in front of the stage at Barnsley. This is where it came from, the Ritz, Barnsley. And there were 2 6-foot square shutter frames each side. I've used only one each of those, and I installed them full size, but of course that was far too loud in this space. So I boxed over the front of those shutter frames behind the curtains here, leaving just a narrow slot which was adjustable, and I could open and close that while I was setting up the organ to get the best balance. I didn't want the organ to come out sounding but at the same time I didn't want it shouting, so it's just taking it down to the right level.
But also as well, because baffling in front of the shutters, you've still got full control as well.
Yes, the full control of the swell pedal. Yeah.
Now this organ, apart from being one of quite a rare one that people thought had gone missing for a number of years, this also has a Wurlitzer roll player attached to it, doesn't it? Now that is very rare. We don't see that very often, do we?
We don't. Only one Wurlitzer roll player came to England originally. That was the smaller version, which was installed on the Little Wurlitzer in Stanford Hall near Loughborough. But the one I've got is a replica, not an original machine. It's a replica built by a chap in the States, Fred Beeks, and he built it up so that it would play the Wurlitzer R rolls, the big one, which play all 3 manuals of the organ and the pedals and the swell shutters, and 60 odd stops from memory.
Yeah. But even then, that's it has to do it in a clever way, doesn't it? Because otherwise the roll would be 2 meters long.
I mean, we've got 61 notes there and there. So that's 183 functions. Yeah. And to get 183 perforations across a paper roll would be too wide. So impossible.
To roll the wallpaper.
Exactly. So what they do, they arrange that when you want to play the top keyboard, it switches off extremities of the bottom 2, where you don't play very often, and it takes the notes there and there, and not in the order that they come. They were very clever the way they did it, and it switches those notes off to the centre 37 on the top keyboard. Yeah. So you can, on this Wurlitzer, play all 3 keyboards simultaneously.
I think again it's worth reiterating that is done mechanically. There's no digital involvement. That is all done with wiring and very clever electronics. It really is a clever piece of
just electrical contact, which is all the key is here. Of course, when you press that, you make an electrical contact, and on the paper roll, the perforation comes along, puff of air goes through, and makes a contact just the same.
Yeah, very cleverly done. But could I have a little go?
Of course you can. Of course you can.
And here we are at the ex-Ritz Barnsley Wurlitzer. There are 12 different ranks of pipes, and I shall demonstrate some of them. You know the score by now if you've seen these organ chat videos. And we're going to start with the tibia, typical lovely tibia, this beautiful tibia. A wonderful brass saxophone, which is really a backbone of these instruments. with the tibia 8 and the tibia 12th, you get that wonderful, almost tower-esque sound. Wonderful clarinet. We've got the Kenora, which is a very thin reed, as you know, but again, used in combination with different stops can be rather effective. Gamba and Gamba Celeste. Violin and a Violin Celeste. So you can get a real contrast between the strings. Flute. Again, everyone's favourite theatre organ stop, the Vox Humana, the imitation of the human voice, literally the Vox Human, voice human. Things like that. We have, of course, the tuned percussions like the cathedral chimes. A xylophone, which is available on tap and reed, which is very useful. And a glockenspiel. And a chrysoglot, used with the vibraphone. It really is wonderful. And there's other effects you'd expect to find as well, like cymbals, crash cymbals, kettle drums, bass drums, a tambourine and castanets, and a Chinese block, a tom-tom and sound block, and sleigh bells. All wonderful effects like that. We've got a bird whistle, surf, the tide's coming in, and we also have a piano on this organ. Now the piano is quite special. It's a system which I haven't come across before. It is a digital piano but being played pneumatically, and it sounds a bit like this. So that's the Ritz Barnsley Wurlitzer. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like and subscribe and hit the little bell icon in the corner so you never miss another video. And now it's time for something I never thought I'd be able to say. Ladies and gentlemen, to play us out, Mr. Jesse Crawford.